am in desperate need of a haircut. Just gonna hide my split ends down here. I think it's safe to say that about 95% of my current novel has been written from my home. My home has changed over the years. I'm pretty sure my home has changed 4, 5, how many times? I don't even know how many times since I started this book. Whatever my residence of the time happened to be was typically where I have defaulted to writing my book. That's been pretty much the case for a lot of the things that I've written. The book I wrote before this one, I wrote mostly from a cafe actually. I did like daily cafe trips because I wrote most of that in a summer between university semesters. When you go back to university days, I did do a lot of library writing for my essays, for my master's thesis. Most of that was written from the university library because I needed all the books and things like that. But pretty much I like to do a lot of my productivity at home. It's where I feel very comfortable. That being said, there are other places I do love to write, and then there are some places that I absolutely hate to write, but I have written there before, especially more recently when I've been in revisions of my current novel. I've been really pushing through. I really want to get this book done very soon. The deadline is coming up so fast. It's a self-made deadline, but I am bound and determined to hit that deadline. So yeah, I've been writing a lot more in different places. That was basically a very long intro to get into the topic of today's video, which is about places that I like or dislike writing. Obviously, everything I talk about is completely my opinion, but I will be justifying them and telling you why I think they are the best and the worst places. So I would love it if you would leave in the comments below your best and worst places. Tell me if you agree with me, tell me if you disagree with me in a nice, polite way, and we can have a fun discussion about that. Let's start with the best because I'm feeling optimistic. So one of the best places for me to work on my novel is at home, at my table. You thought I was gonna say desk, didn't you? I'll get to that one later. I live in a small apartment, but I do have both a desk and a table, but I typically default to the table. That is very much my writing zone. I think it's kind of important, at least for me, to have a writing zone. Even if I don't write all the time in the same place, I do think there needs to be sort of a dedicated place where you're gonna be productive on your book or whatever you're working on. I'm gonna say book throughout this, but you can insert whatever project you're working on here. I think it helps to have a dedicated zone and a place that when you sit down there, you know this is where I'm gonna start writing. Obviously, I do other things at the table like eat my meals and things like that, but it's very much different when I'm in the writing zone. I've got my computer, my notebooks, everything, usually some coffee or some tea or something. So it's definitely a different vibe. I completely change the vibe of the table when I'm writing. I think it helps to have that flat surface, the space to spread out your notebooks and things. That's another thing my desk does not have. It's not very big. So I like having the space, having the dedicated zone, and being able to sit down and know this is what I'm gonna write. On the contrary, one of the worst places to be productive on your novel is your bed. I know a lot of people do like to write sitting on their bed. I am not one of these people. I don't understand how you do it. Whether you're curled up under the blankets or on top of the blankets, I don't know, but when I'm sitting on my bed, I am very much in like nap mode. So I want to sleep or I get kind of zoned out. I can't concentrate. I do occasionally write in my bed, to be fair. I mean, it's not all the time when I'm like this, but it's not really the greatest choice to make. It's like a maybe like 60-40 chance that I might actually succeed in getting some progress done and being actually productive. The second place that I love to write is at my desk. So here we go. I told you I was gonna talk about this. A desk is a great place to write. It's where I used to write all the time pretty much with my other books when I lived with my parents, when I was at university. I really did spend most of my time writing at my desk. The reason now that it's not quite as good and why I said I preferred the table to the desk is because I work from home currently with the job that I have. So I spend a lot of time at that desk. I spend pretty much from 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening at that desk, Monday through Friday. So I don't really want to spend more time at that desk. I've kept this on the best places though, because I do feel like a desk is a perfect place to write, and until I started working from home, I think it probably would have been my default even before a table. Back to the worst places now. Another terrible place in my opinion is a hotel room. Usually when I'm in a hotel room, it's for one of two things. Either I'm on vacation or I'm traveling for work. When I'm on vacation, I am 100% the get out and explore type of person. I will leave early in the morning. I don't even normally sleep in on vacations because I want so badly to see the place where I am, where I'm visiting. And then normally I'll stay out at least until after dinner. Sometimes I like to stay out and do stuff in the evenings. So I'm pretty much just the type of person who uses the hotel to sleep. If I'm traveling for work, then I might be out and about all the time. Sometimes there's things in the evenings and stuff to where you really are working all day. Other times the evenings will be free, but again, either I want to sort of get out and explore the place where I am, or I am so tired because traveling for work is exhausting that I don't have much energy. I have done it before. In fact, I Instagrammed just a few weeks ago because I was able to get some work done on a work trip. I was able to get some writing done, but that was probably one of the first times I've had a really successful hotel room writing session, and I have tried before. Another great place to work is a public library, or sort of, I guess, any public space that is meant for that sort of thing, for writing or for working. Typically a library, but there might be some other examples that you can think of as well. I've written in a lot of libraries, university libraries, public libraries, local libraries. They're typically quiet if most people are, you know, obeying the rules of a library. They have desk spaces normally. It's typically a really great place to write. If you don't focus well around other people, you know, there could be people talking, there could be people moving around and stuff like that. So you definitely do have to be the type of person who can write in public, but sometimes it's great for me just to get out and to be in a spot that is nice and quiet, that you don't have too many disturbances, but you're not completely alone in your house or your apartment. It's also great if you have any type of research you want to do, or even if it's not research, I would sometimes go to the public library. They had a really big young adult section. I write young adult fantasy, so sometimes sitting near that and just seeing those books in front of you all the time can be so inspiring. You can look at all the different covers, you can imagine yours there. It also sometimes can just remind me why I love to write. Not only do I want to get published, but also published books are the reason that I fall in love with stories and why I love them so much, why I love to create them. A place I really hate working on my book though is on a plane or on a train or in a car or basically any type of transportation like that. Absolutely just the worst. I know some people who get so much done, especially on long haul flights and things like that. I don't know how you do it though. I haven't been able to figure it out. I've had my fair share of writing sessions on planes, especially like going back between the US and France. I've done some writing sessions on trains. If they're more than an hour long, I typically try to fit in a writing session because I know it's a great opportunity for that. But honestly, my focus is so terrible when I'm traveling. I get instantly tired, I want to sleep, I can't focus, I can't concentrate. There's also the element of space that's really working against you in most scenarios. Unless you're lucky and you happen to get an empty seat on one or both sides, you're pretty much stuck in this, like, you know, small space, especially on planes. You've got your tiny little tray table. It can fit a computer. It can fit your arms like this probably. And I'm not that big of a person, but I don't have the space that I want, at least. So it's kind of difficult to have your computer, have your notebook if you need it, get in the right zone, you know, I don't know. I just need more space. I need space. I'm gonna follow this one with another bad because I want to end on a good. I wanted to start and end on a good, but I had the same number of good and bad. Not great planning there, Andrea. But another bad place is very similarly when you're at an airport or a train station or basically any type of waiting area like that. This is another place that I have trouble focusing, and I think it's for slightly different reasons. The first one is the distraction, because no public space I feel like is as distracting as an airport or any other waiting area like that when you've got a ton of people killing time, basically. On top of that, this is a period of time when you are waiting for something. So there is constantly the anticipation of a gate change or a flight being delayed or a train being delayed or just missing your boarding, anything like that. There's just this constant part of your brain that is alert and that is very, very aware that this is a space of time that only really exists so that you can make your flight or your train or whatever you're waiting for. When I write though, or even when I read or when I'm studying or working on some other type of project, I get very, very into it. I get completely sucked into whatever I'm doing. So it's very possible for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or 40 minutes to pass by and I barely even register it. Knowing this about myself makes it absolutely impossible for me to concentrate because I know if I concentrate too much, I could just tip over and get lost in this other world and miss my flight. All right, so now we can get to the last best place. now that we're done with all the worst places, and that is a cafe. You guys know I love working at cafes. There are some downsides. There are still the distractions of other people being around. You definitely do have to be the type of person who can focus when other people and other noises are happening. But typically in a cafe, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a lull. It's all background noise to me. This is different if you end up sitting next to someone who's like having a loud conversation on their phone or just talking very loudly to someone else. There are definitely times and places and moments in cafes that are not great, but overall, typically for me, background noise just becomes background noise. You also have a table, typically, depending on what kind of cafe you choose, but typically you have enough space for your computer and maybe a notebook. Sometimes have power outlets. This is harder to find in France, I've found. Or not found, rather. I know, I'm really not funny. Even so, if you're gonna have any hope of finding a power outlet in a public space, then it's probably going to be at a cafe or someplace like that. Maybe the best part is that you can also get a coffee or a tea while you're there, and you can sit and sip that as you're working. Unlike places like a library where you're usually not allowed to bring in drinks of any sort, you get to enjoy a nice little treat as you're working. So it's kind of like a reward to yourself for having made the effort to put on real adult clothes, get out of your sweatpants from home, and go out and write in a public area. So now I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments, what are your favorite or least favorite places to get stuff done, whether it's writing novels or writing something else or studying. Like I said, I will soon be doing another writing update video for you as soon as I've finished this draft. Oh my gosh, I'm so close to finishing. It's become quite a roller coaster, and yeah, I cannot wait to be finally done with the revisions. If you want to stay updated on my book progress right now and also moving forward, then definitely do follow me on Instagram. I post stuff there all the time, as well as Twitter. I do talk a little bit about my book on Twitter, some stuff that I don't post elsewhere. And if you want the absolute sneak peek behind the scenes access to know before anyone else does, then Patreon would be the place to join and jump into that conversation. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon.